Hello, welcome to our Google Meet lullaby session. I'm Onika.
And I'm Windafire.
Today we're going to talk about pre-rest emotional regulation. And basically that means that we think addressing your emotions before you rest is imperative because emotions are always there and they are so loud when you're trying to rest. So, looking at them first before you lay it down is important. So, I'm going to do our intro lullaby and we're just going to go from there. Thank you for joining. All this beauty, all this sound, nowhere to go but down.
Yay.
Yay! So there we go. Pre-rest emotional regulation. That's a mouthful. So, Windfire, what do you think like when you are trying to rest? What emotion do you find like comes up for you a lot or for other people? Have you heard?
Um, well, when I try to rest, I don't know, I guess sometimes when I'm trying to rest, it feels a bit burdensome to rest a little bit. But it feels a little bit burdensome sometimes. But other than that, resting doesn't necessarily. I mean, a lot of the times though, resting it invokes happiness in me. Um, yeah. What about you?
Oh, I would definitely say anxiety comes up for me when I'm trying to rest, or if I don't do pre-rest emotional regulation, anxiety comes up. I'm gonna turn off my water sounds real quick. Okay, I have some ocean sounds in the back from my dogs. Have to turn it down. But yeah, I know anxiety comes up if I don't address it first, and just like I don't know if worry is really an emotion, but definitely worry. And it's so funny the way that our brain works in that, like, if you are trying to settle down, it wants to be heard, and your brain wants you to start thinking about the things that you need to address. But we do so much distraction and so much avoidance that those things come up when we are trying to like sit with ourselves. So that's a funny little thing that I kind of wish didn't happen, you know?
Yeah, I feel like with resting, it's really well, I mean, like we're saying today, resting. It's really important to address emotions before you rest, because if you're really angry at something and you're like, oh my god, I need to go rest. Um, you know, it might be like really hard to rest while you're like fuming from all that anger, and so it's good
Right. Yeah.
to address that and see what's causing the anger and
Hmm.
release that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you don't want to start like punching your pillow while you're trying to sleep. Just mad at your bed and like pulling out all the feathers and what. Well, I don't think beds are made out of feathers anymore. They're like made out of foam pretty much now, right? You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you want to deal with those things just so you can have like a clear slate for your dreams and just for a quality of sleep. Expel that energy in some way. There are a few ways we can do that. Like in particular, I when I've had a particularly stressful day and I just feel exhausted, I either watch something sad or think about something sad to increase my feeling so I can cry or so I can like deal with my emotion, but that's the time that I figure out how to face it before I go to sleep, especially like I said, especially if I have a rough day. What's kind of like your process when you have like a stressful day or when you had a day full of lots of different emotions?
Well, when I'm feeling particularly sad, I know that I do something similar. I listen to I listen to music that is very much the emotion, or I just feel that emotion for however long that I mean, not however long that I used to feel, but for a good amount of time. Something that really lets me let go of my emotions is just being in water of some sort, whether it be like just taking a shower or taking a bath. I love taking a bath. Taking a bath is
Mhm.
like a really great thing for me, and like um, you know, putting in different scents into the bath, calming scents like lavender.
Mhm. Yeah, that's beautiful. Try to avoid the barking.
Hmm.
Um I like that being in water. I'm giving my dog the look so she stops barking. It works sometimes. I like listening to music too. I listen to when I'm sad or when I just feel kind of like melancholy. I listen to Moses Sunny in particular because he has a lot of like just like emotional specific lyrics and melodies in both his albums. So I listen to him in particular and Muriel Wagner because she sings a lot about death, and I feel like it's a good like her one album is just like good for processing grief, and just sadness. Is there anybody in particular you listen to for a particular emotion?
Um, well, hmm, I realized that I kind of forgot about. Oh, I don't. There's not necessarily. Well, actually, yeah. There is an artist who I listen to. They their artist name is Slender Bodies. Specifically, their song "Anemone" is like
Mm-hmm.
my favorite songs to listen to when sad, or feeling depressed. Um, yeah, that song is really great. I also really love to listen to any of the soundtracks from Studio Ghibli movies whenever I'm feeling sad but want to, not be in that feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. I'm not familiar with them. But yeah, I like that idea. Listening to music help. I think in general, it's helpful to have something guide you through that like pre-rest um process. So yeah, music, somebody else to kind of listen to you vent. Is particularly cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it's not. I mean, it could be a solitary practice, but it's nice if it isn't. Even if you just find something online. And especially with anger too, because anger is another one of those big emotions that just you need help through. Sometimes. I know sometimes people listen to like heavy metal or like like hip hop or something with like really deep beats just to let that go, let it go. And I think too when you especially if you're like dancing or something like that, that kind of exhaustion that comes from like physical activity is like not um not the kind of exhaustion that makes you feel tired, but makes you feel like ready for rest, you know? Yeah,
Hmm.
what do you think about that?
Um, Sorry, I kind of spaced. I'm having a spacey day. I always have
Oh, it's
space,
okay.
but
Yeah,
I
me
don't know. I'm
too,
having a
honestly.
pretty fun time.
I've been
But
up in the clouds, let me tell you. Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like it's really important to have something to guide you through that, to guide you through different emotions and guide you through, specifically anger. I mean, all emotions are really, all negative emotions are really horrible, but yeah, I feel like it's really good to have something guide you through those emotions. With those different emotions, I feel like, most people don't like being sad. Most people don't like being angry unless they do like being angry and being sad. But I don't know. I feel like it's really good. It's good to like get through those, but I feel like it's also really good to see why it's happening. Because like, sometimes the cause for your sadness or your anger is really clear, but then sometimes you have to see what's happening, why you're feeling those things, why you're feeling angry, why you're feeling sad. Sometimes there's no clear reason. I feel like that's something that people should do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Especially because we might be holding on to emotions that aren't ours, especially if you consider yourself an empath or someone who like absorbs energy. You know, no, it's not all the time that you're angry just because something happened to you, or you're sad because it's related to what you experienced. I think that's possible. Yeah. So it's important to take that time to think about plug in my computer. It's important to take the time to think about where it's actually coming from and if it's yours. I struggle with that as a therapist because um
Sorry, I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
there you go. I was saying as a therapist, I absorb other people's experiences a lot. And so, my, I think like pre-rest process, emotional regulation process is a little different because I do try to shed whatever has come towards me throughout the day. And like you said, I usually just take a shower or do some kind of like cleansing ritual. So I think for folks watching this in general, if anyone is like a like step by step person who is like, give me the steps, tell me what to do. We've been just talking about like what it all entails, but when you sit down to rest, this pre-rest emotional regulation we're talking about, I guess the first step would be is to evaluate your day and especially think about what in your day made you feel one of the primary emotions, which are happiness, sadness, fear, and anger. Those are the primary, and then secondary is everything below that in those different categories. And if you can start with your primary emotions and acknowledge where those emotions came from, like we've been saying, go to secondary and see if you can be more descriptive. And once you get past that point, the second step would be to really feel that emotion again. Really, think about it, feel it in your heart and in your brain, and be as expressive about it as possible, whatever you need to do. If you need to get some red paint and splash it on a piece of paper, do that. If you're happy, you need to like go dance and jump up and down for a little bit, do that. And then that third step would be coming down from that, taking a little rest, a little breath before you lay down or before you take a nap. So I guess what was that, like 3 or 4 steps?
Yeah.
First, yeah, that's kind of like the how to. But what we do like to do is give people the background to like how you do these steps, and so you can cater it to yourself. Um, Especially because emotions are so complicated. So we can't tell you exactly how to feel whatever you're feeling specifically because we don't know you. Maybe. I don't know. We don't know who watches these, but hopefully some folks we don't know, so they could reach out. But yeah, um, yeah. What would you say for someone like your age who, because in teenage years there are emotions all over the place, I imagine. I mean, mostly because of the chemicals going on in your brain, but also just like life is new. Um,
Mhm.
so would you say for like that big mixture of emotions, what do you do?
What do I do for those? Um, for those, I always take a step back.
Yeah,
Um, you know, feeling emotions is great, but with unnecessary hormone surges, um, it's good to just take a step back and be like, is it me speaking or is it the hormones speaking? Is it me
yeah.
feeling the hormones feeling? I feel like with all these things going on, with just the being a teenager, and I feel like this generation has a lot of grief, a lot of trauma because of the previous generations and how they've left the world, and how this world is being handed to us, and how you know a lot of bad has happened in the world. A lot of bad is still happening. A lot of bad is happening to the environments. A lot of bad is happening to the people in the world, and to the animals in the world. Um, I feel like it's good to find a way to let that out. If you want to, just write it out. Write it, express it in any way. You know, write any words, or if you have any instruments, or if you like to sing, like express it through that. Just make up nonsensical songs. Do all those things to help. Yeah, and I feel like it's very important. Everybody says it all the times, but it's very important to stay away from drugs and alcohol. It's very important to stay away from those, and to experience the world as it is. I'm fine with people using some drugs, not all drugs, but some drugs, and occasional alcohol. But I feel like really you need to experience the world as it is before you have an altered vision of the world.
Yeah. Yeah, because you want to know exactly what you want to alter. Yeah, so before you go and alter something you don't know, maybe try to get to know it a little bit. And sometimes we use drugs to avoid, and that's what we're trying not to do when we do pre rest emotional regulation. We're trying to feel the pain because um, avoiding pain leads to suffering, and we're trying to resolve suffering at least a little bit in the best way we can. Pain is natural, yeah, for any age and anybody, but definitely suffering is not. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that not when we avoid our emotions and we don't do this process of regulating them throughout the day, but especially when we're trying to lay down, we're just setting ourselves up for disaster because emotions don't just go away. You know, they're around, they're always around, and they serve a purpose. They always serve a purpose no matter what they are. They're always teaching us a lesson and telling us about something. So we gotta listen to them. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um. Cool. This is fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like talking about emotions. Yeah, it's neat, and it's such a huge part of resting because, like we've been saying, like they come up and they're so apparent when you're trying to lay down. Yeah, yeah. Um, How do you feel? Do you think there's any more we should add?
I don't know if I personally have anything else to add. Do you?
No. I just want to recap. So we've been talking about like the importance of pre-rest emotional regulation. We gave some steps to how to do it specifically, which is to review your day, pick a primary emotion, which one fits your day, then try to describe it a little more, and then feel your feeling. Wonderful sentence that I see around everywhere, but it's true. Feel your feeling, take a
Mm-hmm.
breath after you do that, and then try to lay down. But that's a template. You don't have to do it that way, and definitely cater it to your life. But reviewing how you feel before you rest, we are saying is essential because it's worked for us and it's worked for other people that we talk to. Mm-hmm. Um, Windfire, would you lead us out with a outro lullaby?
Yes, I will. This lullaby is called Rest Will Come. 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 Mm-hmm. 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 Rest will come. Rest will come. Rest will come. Rest will come. Mm-hmm. Rest will come. Rest will come. Rest will come. Rest will come. Okay.
Thank you so much. Um, I love that song so much. That
Me
is so
too.
good. Okay, so anyone watching, thank you. We hope that there is something that you could take away from this and put into your own best practice. We'll be here next month, actually starting a special series called Black Rest Thought Pathways. We got some funding to do that particular series in a certain way, so look out for that. Please subscribe to our channel because if you do that, we will be able to sustain ourselves in the future. And money is evil, but it's also helpful in these times. So that's how we can get paid for our time. So subscribe, like, follow us and tell us we're doing great. I'm just kidding. So yeah, cool. See you later, Windafire, and see you all. Rest easy. Bye.
Bye.